To have Walker Hendricks here at Big Winds. Walker goes way back here. Man, I remember Walker showing up at 6:30 at the event site, paddle in hand, eyes barely open, to go to jet team, right?
Yep.
That was a while back, man.
A long time, yeah. And that was actually, I'd say, crucial to my subfoil development.
That is epic. Yeah, he would wake up early, show up, and do some paddling with Steve Gates and the jet team.
Yep.
I was part of that coaching crew back then, and it was awesome. And to see now Walker, a full-grown man, now shredding in the Gorge on a foil is just absolutely amazing. And not many people know him as Walker Hendricks. I got to say, like, he's kind of taken on this alter ego, a.k.a. McFlowy.
McFlowy!
Yeah, everybody knows him as McFlowy here in the Gorge. It's because this kid shreds. He's got some style. And I personally really love to watch your Instagram feed. It is so fun.
Thank you.
It's inspiring, to
Yeah,
say
thank
the
you.
least. Walker, you just learned to foil not too long ago, right?
Yeah, just over, I think a year and a half ago, actually, I started. Right when I started working at Big Winds, I started subfoiling, so.
Gosh, I remember we were going to Arlington to do a blaylock run, and we dropped you off at Rufus.
Yeah.
And basically pumped up a wing and said, I hope you can figure this out. I think Chris Anderson kind of...
Yeah, Chris Anderson, he actually gave me some tips on one of my first days out there. It was epic.
Yeah, and then 4 or 5 hours later, we go back to Rufus to pick up Walker, and lo and behold, he learns how to wing like in a day. And then it was like probably a few weeks thereafter that you started to pick up subfoiling.
Yeah, the subfoiling started to come together. Yep. Yeah.
And then I think we kind of realized this kid's got something going when Gorge Paddle Challenge came around that summer. You did really, really well. Like,
that was a crazy experience. Yeah, my first ever race, I had no expectations, and it ended up going pretty well. I was chasing down Cane to Wild the whole race, and ended up coming in 11th. So that was huge. Yeah, it was so fun.
That's awesome. So started with winging, downwind subfoiling.
It actually started with downwind subfoiling.
It did.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, my dad just threw me straight into downwind subfoiling. I had no foil skill. I didn't know how to do it at all. And he was like, here's a paddle and a board. Go figure it out.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Just threw me into the deep end.
That is awesome. That kind of sounds like something Magneto.
No, it's a classic Trey thing, yeah. And then I kept asking him, I was like, let's go wing. I want to go learn how to wing so I can get the foil skill. And he was like, no, just figure out the paddle. So I spent quite a bit of time figuring out how to paddle and learn the pop-up, and then eventually transition to the wing to learn how to actually foil.
That summer went by pretty quick. You were working at Big Winds that summer.
Yeah.
You had access to gear. You tried pretty much everything.
Oh, that was huge for my progression. Just having access to everything and figuring out what the best gear was for me was so crucial. And
then you landed with Armstrong.
Yeah, around AWSI last year, I ended up with a 880 and a 1080 prototype, and I pretty much rode those for a solid 6 months before I had any other gear. Those were my only 2 foils, and the 1080 was amazing at the time. Like that was a mind-blowing foil. The low end was crazy. It just opened up so many sessions. So
yeah, and then Armstrong came out with the new HA lineup.
Yeah.
And that became like one of our best sellers here at Big Winds.
Absolutely, yeah.
And one of my personal favorites as well.
Yeah.
And you absolutely shred on these guys. Like, think about back to this summer, and I'm not talking on race day, just fun sessions downwind, and we're running shuttles, you're doing laps. Like, what was your go-to setup?
I'd say my go-to when I first got the foils was the 1080, just because I was a good foiler, but I was still relatively new, and the low end was amazing. Just the ease of pop-up, and light wind sessions were amazing on it. And then this year, mostly the 880. That's pretty much all I ride. Yeah, it's so versatile.
Such a bread and butter.
Yeah. The range is so good. It turns so well. So that's been my bread and butter for sure.
Cool. And then what about mast length?
So I rode the 80 for the longest time. The 80 is super fun. It kind of gives you that surfy feeling. It's like more direct rail to rail. It's easier to do transitions.
Yep.
And then this summer I've been on the 865 a lot more. It just opens up more opportunities. You can get higher turning angles, which is super fun. You're kind of limited on the 80 with how much you can lean it over, because your whole foil ends up going out of the water if you have too much angle.
Pretty much every turn you make,
yes.
your foil's out of the water.
Yeah. So the 865 just makes it way easier, and it's like a more three-dimensional feeling. It's like three-dimensional surfing. It's kind of a crazy feeling. You're able to like slalom through the bumps and pick super unique lines, and I've been really liking the 865.
So paddle ups with the performance mass 865, like
it's
more difficult than the 795?
It's slightly more difficult, but to be honest, at my level, it's no issue. Yeah, it's no problem. And I've been pocket winging so much lately anyway. Like with the pocket wing, it doesn't matter. You just hold that thing in the air and you get pulled right up on the foil. So.
Oh my gosh! If you guys haven't seen Walker with the pocket wing yet, this guy, granted, he shreds on anything with the foil underfoot, but the pocket wing, he just lit it up this summer. Like now with the pocket wing, let's talk a little bit there.
Yeah.
Because we are starting to see a lot of people out there joining the trash bag crew.
Right.
As it's been done.
Right. It's been super popular in the Gorge.
It allows you to ride a smaller board. Like, what are you riding for a board?
Yeah, I've been riding the 65 ML. I've done a few runs on the 55 mid-length and a few on the 48 FG, actually.
Yep.
The wingboards. So it opens up a bunch of possibilities as far as board size, which is super fun. Being able to rip a small board downwind is a game changer. It's crazy.
And just so our audience knows, for reference, how tall are you? What do you weigh?
I'm 6'2". I'm 190 pounds.
190 pounds and ML 65 and
55? Yeah, and 55 and the 48 FG. So, but the 65 for me, even at my weight, it's super easy to get up on the pocket wing. I can go out in like 18, 20 mile an hour wind and get up no problem. So
that's pretty impressive. Yeah. How do you sense the future with pocket winging here in the Gorge? Like it's coming, right?
Yeah, I think it's coming. I think especially as more brands start to release pocket wings and it starts to get easier and more accessible, I think almost everybody's going to be doing it, to be honest.
Like a lot of the wingers, for example, who look at subfoiling and see it maybe a little bit not as accessible.
Yeah.
You got to buy a new board.
Yeah. You got to
bigger foil.
Yeah, you got to get an expensive paddle. So, and I think the transition from riding a small wingboard and a small foil to riding a big subboard and a big foil is hard for a lot of wingers. So being able to transfer with the same setup will be so much easier for them to learn to downwind.
There you go. Pocket winging. A few more of these in the near future.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of them in the near future. It's starting to get popular, and there's lots of brands that are coming out with prototypes. So it's super exciting.
That is exciting. Yeah. What's next? Well, here we go. It's coming. So mid-length, Armstrong HAs. Let's talk a little bit more about the gear here.
Yeah.
How about tail? What do you typically use?
So I use both the 140 and the 180. The 140 is great. It's super fast and efficient. It turns super fast rail to rail. It is a bit harder to ride compared to the 180. The 180 is insanely pitch stable and super forgiving, which I've been really liking. Actually, I've been on the 180 a lot. So
speed 180, dart 140 for reference.
Yep.
And I do believe there's even one smaller coming out here soon.
Yeah, potentially. There's stuff in the works. Cool. So those tails are amazing. Paired with the HAs, obviously, they're so pitch stable and easy to ride. It's honestly mind blowing how easy to ride they are.
And then I'm guessing TC60 fuselage.
Yeah, 60 fuse.
Pretty much all the way around.
Yeah, all the way around. Yeah, the 50 turns a bit too fast and the 70 is a bit too long. So the 60 is a perfect middle ground for me.
What about these things behind you?
Oh yeah, base plate shims. I've been running the base plate shims a lot, especially in bigger conditions. What the base plate shim does is it keeps the nose of your board up when you're going fast. So foils, they have a tendency to pitch down a little bit when you're going fast, and the base plate shim just keeps your nose up and keeps the board level, which is super nice for turning. It allows you to have even front and back foot pressure, which is super nice. Yeah.
That makes total sense. So I think if I understand correctly, when you're moving really fast, you get a lot of drag from the
Yep.
foil down here. That
Yep.
creates a little bit of
Yep.
pull forward on the mast or leverage on the mast.
Yep.
It's, the job of the tail to keep that stable. But if you've got a base plate shim, then you're all of a sudden you're creating a little bit more front foot
Yep.
pressure
Yep.
if you're riding it thick forward, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Gotcha.
And
does that allow more control in the turn as well at speed? Or?
Yeah, I'd say more control in the turn for sure. If you're running no base plate shim and it's a really big day and you're going super fast, you can have excessive back foot pressure, which makes it hard to turn when you're just slamming on your back foot. There's only like so much pressure you can put on your back foot while turning. And at some point you just won't be able to leverage your back foot enough and your nose will start to drop, and that's when you start touching the board down and falling in. So the base plate shim just levels everything out and makes turns super easy. For me at least. Some people might not like it. It's completely personal preference. And actually I've seen a lot of guys run the base plate shim reverse as well, which just gives you a lot more efficiency and at slow speed, especially.
So like for pump up,
pump foiling. Yeah, so whenever I'm flat watering or dock starting, I always have the base plate shim reversed, and that just gives you more pump and glide.
Cool, right on. Tips from Walker Hendricks, I love it.
Pro tips, yeah. Try the base plate shims out. They're super fun. It's fun to mess with setup and just switch things around.
What about racing? You raced M2M, M2O this summer.
Yeah.
You gonna go for it again next
year?
year?
Yeah, for sure. That's the goal right now. I'm training hard in Hood River. The wind's kind of stopped. If we're lucky, we get a day once a week. So I've been putting a lot of time in the gym and a lot of time on the bike and just trying to build fitness. So yeah, that's the next goal.
Fitness, cardio, strength training.
Yep, exactly.
Right on.
Yeah.
Are you going back to Maui this winter?
Absolutely, yeah. Maybe January or February, I'll head over there once I got some fitness built up.
Yeah.
So
cool. Yeah, because part of that training regimen, I'm sure, is open ocean downwinding.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But if I were to go to Maui right now, I'd just be too tempted to foil every single day because it's windy there every day and you have waves and it's hard to get any training in because you're just foiling every damn day.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty tough. It's a tough lifestyle.
Yeah, it's a tough lifestyle being a professional foiler. So yeah, I'm making some compromises here and kind of slowing down the foiling a bit and heading more into endurance and training. Yeah.
Right on. Well, not only are we getting a really good background on McFlowy here, but we're getting some pro tips, his favorite foils, his board of choice for pocket winging. Do you use the ML for winging as well, just traditional winging?
Yeah. The 65 ML is great for winging, especially this time of the year in the gorge. It's super gusty and you don't know when the wind's going to die. It's pretty inconsistent, so it's nice having something that you can get up pretty much at any time.
That is so awesome. Yeah, these things have been...
They've been killers, yeah. People have been loving them. Awesome. Yeah, you guys can't even keep them in stock. They're so popular.
So popular. And a lot of folks thought these were just for light wind winging.
Yeah.
And they've become so popular
even. Even for just people winging on the daily, even in windy conditions. I've seen a lot of people in the 55 out of the hatch, so they're super popular.
Right on. Well, Walker, thanks for coming over to Big Winds.
Yeah, dude.
Joining us here and giving us some advice on how to get going with the foil. I know it's probably not everybody's wheelhouse to figure this out within a year and start charging M2O races, but with the proper gear and the proper
as the gear keeps getting better, it just keeps getting easier, and these HAs are so easy to ride. A lot of beginners have been using them and loving them, especially the subfoilers. So every time I hand out one of these HAs, people's minds are blown. It's crazy. Pretty much every time. I've never given somebody one of these HAs and had them come back disappointed. every single time they come back and they're just stoked out of their mind on them.
It's so true. They come into the shop and they get their first one, and then they come back for a smaller and a bigger.
Yeah, yeah, and they got the whole quiver, and then they get a few tails. They start with the 180 or the Glide 220, and then they go down to the 140. So it's super cool seeing the progression.
Well, thanks to Armstrong for providing some incredible gear.
Yeah.
And thank you, McFlowy, for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
The rundown. I'm glad you had a good summer.
Yeah.
Best of wishes to you going into 2025.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right on. Thanks for joining us, you guys.
You.